Well, it's really good to be back with you guys. So, for those of you in the room, I think you guys can do also online. And for those who are online, I'm making sure that my butt's not in the camera this time. But if this is your first time with one of my presentations, one. Okay, and then online, if you're able to raise hands. Okay, so for those of you who have heard my presentations before, don't tell them about the hazing that I do right at the very end. Keep that to yourself. Why are we laughing? That's kind of just kidding. All right. Anyway, so let me go through this really fast. There is a lot of information for today's topic, which we're going to be speaking on fads that are going on, and we're only going to talk about two specific fads. And then, oh, latecomers, well, that's okay. And then, so we're going to be talking about tech fads, and we're also going to talk about the group fitness fads that are going on, and then we're going to compare that to like what is shown to actually kind of work for what we're going through. Now, for those of you, this is your first time with my hearing my presentation. I was the head personal trainer at a physical therapy clinic in Houston called RPM, and that middle picture is one of the corporate clients that we have, in which I was one of the, I was actually the person who helped start their boot camp there. Obviously, I work downstairs at Inward Fitness in the dungeon, and I'm a massive Liverpool supporter, and that's my baby girl, Skya, who just eats my shoes all the time and apparently is having an allergic reaction with flowers right now. I don't, she just keeps biting and scratching. So if you're a dog owner and then that dog is always biting, please help a brother out, because I just bought a whole bunch of oatmeal shampoo, and I don't know, does that work? Moving on. Does it help? Does it really? Okay. I'm sorry? Well, right, and this just started. You know what? We're talking about my dog's allergies, guys. We've got to solve this immediately. Baby girl is a hurting. All right. Um, but yes, between grass, flowers, pollen, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so moving on. Since the last we met, the last time I did a talk here, I did a talk on brain performance at Denver Water, and then I did something for Delta Dental, which was the first time I had to present purely online, which I don't recommend. Like if I ever have to present to you guys online only, something has gone horribly wrong. But anyway, so that's the last thing that I've done. Okay, we're going to hustle through these. These will make us laugh. These will make us cringe. This will bring about a host of emotions that we don't want to feel. So we're going to go through these. But a lot of these are kind of funny. And then as I started doing some research on this, I literally started renaming things, as you can obviously see up there. So the treadmill, that's kind of the origins of the treadmill. Okay, this is one of these technology things that started coming about for commercial usage. The thing in the upper right-hand corner, I don't know what that thing is called, but that guy is entirely way too excited while the guy who is shirtless can't figure out what's going on. The one with the question marks in the bottom left-hand corner, the Flex Shaper, somebody made a lot of money off of that. We have the ab wheel, which just looks like it's there to roll out red carpet. And then I don't know how much that model was paid to do the Thigh Master. The what I have now officially called the Society has hit a new low, aka the shake weight. The other one, so the one right next to that, the lower back destroyer. I don't know why that was invented. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to do other than just completely rip out your lumbar spine. But apparently men and women's are sold separately. The rower, I found that one was fascinating. I don't know why that woman is so happy, but that guy is obviously over 6 foot, and he is not meant for that machine. Anyway, but notice the price on that. I also thought that was crazy. $90 for that rower. I'm willing to break myself just to get that piece of equipment. And then I'd rather stick my finger in an electric socket than put those on me. But then, so because we're also talking about classes, I thought this one was really funny. I don't know what they're doing it, so I called it frolicking. But then as we approach the late 70s and 80s, the sparkly swimsuit onesie class, But then we started getting really creative with the classes that we started offering, right? And so these are one of those aerial classes. But then we have this guy who apparently looks like he's stuck and needs help. That's in the next one over there. I didn't know that was a thing. That must be in Hawaii or California, where there is a group surfing class. I would actually do that, but I just don't understand. How do you do that without water? That's a weird one. And then then we put people's names on things, called it advance, and then it looked like we're actually tripping out on whatever gas are pumping into the room at the time. And sure, it was the 80s, and we were experimenting, but somehow we called it, quote unquote, exercise, right? And that was Jane Fonda's Avanda workout. Jane Fonda stuff? Did you really?
I would do it like once in a row. When I was on the U.S. cycling team, I had to get in shape in the winter somehow.
All right, guys, instead, we're now listening to story time. Go on. Let's. Oh, no. Wow. Oh, no way. Really? And the hair, the big hair. Oh, did you guys do the trampoline workouts? You guys remember that? I don't know if Jane Fonda had done that. You remember the? Yeah, we had a trampoline. As a kid, I just bounced on it. That's anyway. Oh, that is fascinating. Oh, I have to turn off the music. Sorry, guys. Ah. Okay, so okay, but let's yeah, moving on. That's I'm really happy somebody else did Jane Fonda stuff here. Okay, so but what they all have in common is that none of them made a dent in our nation's health, even though the good intentions were there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. There are a lot of statistics that I found on some of this stuff. I'm not going to look at spend a lot of time on it, but I want us to just kind of look at what's kind of happened with this explosion of fitness and what we're attempting to do, and just how it's not really making as big of an impact as we'd want it to be. All right, so the problem, this may be a little bit tough to see, which I apologize for, but us as United States here at the top, okay, our life expectancy is at 76 years of age, and we spend roughly $12,000 or $13,000, and I believe this is per year. Now you compare that, so you have these other, 5 countries here, and comparing them to these other countries who have longer lifespans, but are spending way less. And then, of course, the Japanese have found it to be way more efficient to spend less than $5,000, but still have a longer life expectancy than us here in the US. Now, this I thought was absolutely crazy, was that roughly here at 5.2 million people have somewhere between $2,000 to $5,000 worth of medical debt. This one, this one is probably more of the heartbreaking one for myself as a health professional. Heart disease, cancer, and then if I were to take COVID-19 out, and look, this one I thought was weird. Accidents, like what kind of accidents? And that's really sad that an accident has that much impact. But stroke, chronic respiratory, Alzheimer's, diabetes, a lot of this stuff that we're going to get into hopefully later is that it's actually, I don't want to say preventable, but we can do a lot of things to mitigate the possibilities of those happening to us. So science fads, fitness fads versus the science is that it's that we still possess a lot of challenges today, but the fads often disconnect from science. Obesity rates still continue, and we need to actually focus more on evidence-based. Now, the reason why I was going around and I was looking at people's wrists is that I wanted to see who had wearables on, right? And so, yep, hold them up high and proud. Yeah, there we go. Now, here's the question that I want to ask first. Now, do you use your wearable? Like, do you actually, okay, now what do you track it for? So those of you who just nodded yes, what are you tracking? Steps?
Sleep.
Heart rate? Sleep? Okay, good. Now, how many of you still continue doing that?
Without it?
No, with it. Like, you're still continue using it, like tracking your steps, Tracking your sleep. Okay, that's awesome. Then that means that you guys are actually the outliers to some of the statistics that I'm about to show. Now, who has something more than just a watch? What do you have? Ooh, okay. Oura Ring. Oh, yep. See it there. Who has, does anybody have a Whoop? Are there Whoopers here? Oh, interesting. You guys, oh, not many Whoopers. Fascinating. So Whoop essentially is you take your watch, you remove the clock out of it, you tie it only to your phone, but you combine your watch with an Oura Ring, and that's essentially what a Whoop is. It's just it's just a bracelet with a monitor on it. Whoops are kind of weird. I'm not 100% sold on it. I would rather have people just have a wearable, like just a watch and or an Oura Ring. This I found interesting because I've never heard of a smart tattoo, but apparently that actually exists. I don't know if I agree with that one at all. That's terrifying that it can't be ever removed from you. This was also, when I took it, was also when Google came out with their smart glasses or smart glass. And did anybody ever pick one up? Because I was always curious about that. No, that nobody got one of those. Does anybody have a CGM? Is anybody wearing a CGM right now? No, no CGM. If you don't know what that is, it's a continuous glucose monitor, right, to measure glucose. Let's see. And then did anybody ever get the Nike shoes that had, like, you can tie your running and stuff to the app or to your shoes? Nobody ever got that one too. Anyway, all that to say, you can see all these crazy options that we have. Ooh, was there a raised hand? Did I just see that? Oh.
No, yeah, I got the Nike tracking when when it first came out. It's junk.
Oh. Okay, that's actually my follow-up question to it. But okay, no, thank you for sharing that. That's good to hear. Okay, so anyway, but you can see, like, we have all this, we have all these devices that are available to us to measure things that we're not actually really sure that we need to measure. And by that, what I mean is that if you have like the CGM, you have the watch. I do have a client who has an Oura Ring. Granted, he is an ER doctor, so he's kind of using his body as a lab. But he has an Oura Ring, he has a Whoop on one wrist, and he has a wearable, he has his Garmin on another wrist, and he's just collecting all this data. But for what purpose, though, right? So that's the other thing. Now, because he is an ER doc, he's doing a lot of research to figure out, like, and he's also really big into cycling and like endurance sports. So he wants to know, like, what is the maximum output that he can get for his body to perform at the level that he needs to. Most of us, we don't actually need that. Now I'll just share a real quick story with me, is that in 2020, early 2023, I was just having heart issues. Like, I could feel like something was definitely wrong here, and it was freaking me out, and I couldn't tell what was going on. So thankfully, because of this and the way that Garmin was connected to it, my heart rate, this was really interesting. My heart rate never got out of its normal resting heart rate. Like, it probably maxed out. My resting heart rate is probably about 48, 49. So it's pretty high 40s. But it never, an average resting heart rate, it should be somewhere in the 60s. So I was doing okay there, but I couldn't figure out what was happening. So I looked at my sleep, and sleep was okay. But my stress level, for some reason, this was picking up my stress level, and I could feel it here, and it was still freaking me out. So I even went to go get an EKG, and even that was saying that I was still within normal. So that couldn't even pick up what was wrong. But the wearable was able to at least pick out that my stress levels were a little bit higher. Now, I will say, thankfully, that all kind of resolved itself. I literally woke up one day, and then that heart condition was gone. But all that to say, that's kind of one of the benefits of having these wearables. Okay, now going into this, I'm not gonna, like I said, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I thought the crazy thing is, back in 2016, when the wearables were starting to come onto the market, within the first 3 months, people were already ditching all their stuff because of some of the reasons that are listed. It was either too complicated or loss of novelty. They didn't the lack of perceived of usefulness. All this stuff, people were just like, you know what, we're done. Now, technically, the technology wasn't as good as it is now 10 years ago. Having said that, is that we may still use a lot of it now, but even me, I will admit, I don't use I think the Garmin app has already just kind of unloaded itself off of my phone, so I don't track as much anymore. When I was doing a lot of Spartan races, I just needed to make sure I could track the miles that I was doing, the distances that I was doing for my runs. But right now, that's about it. Even my steps, I don't even track anymore. I look at my heart rate every now and then. And now it's basically for you guys, well, for those that come to my gym. I just use it as a timer. That is kind of what this has come down to. And then if I'm not paying attention, it becomes a chew toy for my dog. But that's testament to Garmin. Takes everything. Okay, so moving on. Okay, this is continued. This I found really fascinating is that the market growth versus engagement is that they're projecting it by 2032 to hit $491 billion, which I find odd because what are we getting at? Like, what are we selling other than the subscriptions and then the actual hardware that might be involved with it as well? And then app retention, like I just mentioned, mine just fell off, just unloaded from my phone. So I don't know. That's just kind of weird, something to watch out for, especially with this advent of AI. Who knows what's going to happen there? Now, let's talk about the classes that are out there. Now, if you look up there, look at those icons, look at the logos. How many of you have at least visited one time to one of those up on there? Yeah, fun fact, that's actually how I met Kevin. It was a long time ago, many moons ago, before craziness happened. But I was the head coach at the Orange Theory on what studio was that, Kevin? Cherry Hills. Yeah, Happy Canyon. There we go. Anyway, so that's where I met Kevin. But I went into it just completely blind, and obviously I'm not there. We'll talk about that. But anyway, so we have all these classes, and you'll see that it just becomes so difficult with so many different options available. Which one do we choose, right? And some of the studies, it was really difficult to find like the actual health impact that it made on an individual. The biggest things that kept coming up was that it does really well for our mental well-being to be connected to one another and to just, suffer with each other, especially in these classes. I did find it interesting that for most of these, I don't know which classes that they surveyed, but whatever study I found that 62% of participants are female, that it's a larger proportion of women that go to these classes than guys. Let's see, and then the other one, social connections, well-being. Yeah. So anyway, it was just really tough to find actual information on health and the connection of health and classes and fitness-based or group fitness-based classes. So all of this, so now we go through even more of all of this stuff, but so heart disease, and we know a lot of it because we hear a lot of this stuff, is that heart disease and stroke, cancer, you can see the amount of people, the amount of money that it has, the impact that it has on us. None of this stuff ever decreases. That's the crazy part about it. Even though we have more of this stuff that's available to us, none of it has actually made an impact on diabetes or cancer or arthritis, Alzheimer's. All this stuff or physical inactivity actually just keeps increasing instead of decreasing, even though we have most of this stuff. That's an AI produced image, which I thought was funny. I just put in a prompt. I'm like, wow, that's crazy that you came up with these random people. And then and I literally said that, just, can you give a image of working professionals that are just saying, okay, so now what? And that's literally whatever it is. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. And those are also AI produced images. So anyway, simple, not easy. And this comes down to two of the things that are back that have shown to have the most impact on our actual fitness and well-being. Okay, strength training. Everything that you wanted in those classes, like from a cardio standpoint, from a strength standpoint, all of that can be based just off of just lifting heavy things, putting them back down, and then lifting them back up. So for those of you who've been to Austin's classes, that this is what he concentrates a lot more on, is more of like the strength side of it. And you've probably felt your heart rate start increasing a little bit more just because you've had to put more demand on your system to lift something heavy, right? So you end up a little bit breathless. But this side strength training has shown to have the best outcomes for blood pressure, body composition, fitness, strength, metabolism, all of the stuff that we're wanting to prevent. That is the stuff that it's good for. Now, for you ladies, whenever we go into perimenopause and menopause, once the estrogen and progesterone starts dropping off, bone density now becomes one of the things that we have to fight to maintain. And really the only way that has been shown to be able to maintain bone density is actually to weigh down the skeletal system. So you actually have to put load on your body in order for your body to receive the signal to increase bone density. Muscle mass and sarcopenia. So again, as we age, both for men and women, is that as we age, we have to preserve muscle mass because we start losing it. Another benefit that with muscle mass, and I think it's in one of these, I think is in a metabolic health. Yeah, if you look in metabolic health, oh no, here it is. Yeah, in blood sugar management. Now, I need you guys to focus, because what I'm about to say, I don't want this to be an excuse of, oh, I will now eat my pint of ice cream, okay? Now, one of the benefits of having more muscle mass is that muscle actually acts as a storage system for us to shove extra, I'm oversimplifying, but extra sugars into our body. So whenever we consume excess sugars or excess glycogen, we need that for fuel, but if we have more than what the body needs, it puts it into muscle cells. If we do not have a requisite amount of muscle in order for the body to absorb that glycogen, then it gets stored as body fat, right? So this is why having more muscle actually ends up being to our benefit, because now we can actually shove more of that potential energy into muscle cells instead of it just being stored into fat. And then here, toward the end of the mental and cognitive health, studies of older adults show significant improvements in memory and strength training. I have seen this personally with my own clients, where the average age for most of my clients is roughly about 45 plus, 50 plus. And I've seen them when they've started with me to where they are now, where they had a little bit harder time remembering stuff with working memory, but now I can see they have become a little bit more clear in the way that they process information, and for them to have better memory. Okay. Now the other part, going into zone 2 cardio. How many of you guys have heard of zone 2 cardio? Ooh, there's one. You stand alone, girl. Well done. You'll fight that power. Okay. Now, can I ask what you do for zone 2? Or do you do zone 2? Do you train zone 2? Okay, so okay. I'm going to go ahead and sit down. Go ahead. You're doing well. What is your name? All right, guys, pay attention to Kayla. She's onto something here. But you haven't actually started training in it yet. Okay. Okay, that's cool. I just want to know what your experience would have been like. Okay, so here's something for those of you who said that you have a wearable. This is something that you can experiment and play with over July 4th weekend. Is that your watches, Apple Watches, Fitbits, Garmin's, will have a setting for you to be able to monitor which heart rate zone that you're in. Okay, and so Zone two, as Kayla was actually saying, and it's exactly spot on, is the fact that whenever we train into zone two, that is shown that your body has to pull body fat to for its energy source, not carbs, even though carbs are the primary energy source for your body to do stuff. So for those of you who do Austin and Juice's class, you'll find that you're going to pull different energy systems whenever, like tonight, if you come to Josie's class, you're going to use probably a lot more carbs because she's going to keep your heart rate a lot higher. Now, if you go to zone two, what you're going to do, and this is the wildest thing that I have ever experienced. As a soccer player, as an OCR person who does Spartan races, as somebody who likes doing those high intensity classes, like I like that breathing hard, feeling like I'm just about to pass out and I just want to do something hard all the time. But if I go onto the treadmill downstairs, put it on like a level 5% incline or maybe or something higher, and then I put a backpack on with some weights on it, and then I just walk out like maybe 3 miles an hour, maybe 4, I will just start sweating profusely without breathing hard. And it is the weirdest sensation. It's like, I should not be sweating this much. But it's showing that the body is having to pull a different energy system and it's having to work differently. But this is where you have to use your watch. Okay, this is where you can use your wearable to find where your zone 2 is, right? Now, here's the other thing about the wearables that I have to kind of caveat with is that it's not entirely that accurate. It just gives you a framework of where your body kind of needs to be. If you actually want a zone 2 training or know where your actual heart rate it needs to be, the ranges, then you actually have to put like a mask on. You have to either walk or do a bike, and then then we'll be able to calculate where it is. And if you're interested in that, there's a doctor that we work with. He comes in, he does the testing, and puts out all that stuff on you. But it is the craziest thing. So I would highly, highly recommend that you give that a go. See what that's like. Find a hike or use a treadmill or use a bike, and just something that's going to keep your heart rate at somewhere like, for each age it's different, but it's like 75, I think I put it here, 60 to 70% of what your maximum heart rate is, right? And if you need to calculate that out, you can email me and I'll help you figure that out. Anyway, all that to say is that zone 2, for those of us who are always one of like, hey, I want to tone up or I want to lose body fat, zone 2 is going to be the best way of going about of doing that, because that's the primary source of fuel for your body. So, in conclusion, this is how I'm going to wrap up in a way that I don't think most of us would ever expect. But because of these fads, a lot of these fads poke at our insecurities. And so because of that, what it is that that's not the only aspect of what actually needs to be fixed. So a lot of this is a kind of the stories that we are telling ourselves that's actually what we need to adjust. Unless we're specifically training for certain events or certain things in life, then maybe we can start using, I used Orange Theory as a way to train for Spartan races. I would put that incline on a high. If the coach was telling like, hey, you only do this and then do this, I would go to the maximum of whatever that coach was saying. But I did that because I was training for something, right? And I will say that like there's nothing wrong with the group-based fitness, because I like boot camps. I like training with other people because it's more fun to suffer together than just lift something heavy by myself in an empty gym. It's just a whole lot better. But we have to know that if we are attempting to achieve something for our specific fitness goals, there are just very few things that actually have that impact. And right now, the main 2 pillars is strength training and zone 2 cardio. So if those are the things that if you're looking for a certain result, those are going to be the 2 pillars that I would highly recommend us looking at. Now, with the time left, questions and answer, Q&A, because there's a whole bunch of things that are out there that leaves us with a whole bunch of different questions. Yes. Yeah. So the rucking, which I am a big fan of, because that does put you in a zone two. Correct. So that's just weighting down our bodies. Oh, that. Oh, really? Next time you see them, give them a high five for me. That's fantastic for them, because to help prevent osteopenia, osteoporosis, and sarcopenia, i.e., loss of muscle, especially for them, that is probably one of the best and safest ways for them to do that. Because what that is doing is that is telling their system, telling their central nervous system that they have to reinforce both bone and muscle. And then they're getting the added bonus by walking with that on. Now they're putting themselves into that zone two cardio. So now they're having to use fat reserves as their main fuel source as they move. It was, I will say, and I think it was like in 2010 when rucking really started taking off, because I think it was some Navy SEALs who started doing it. Um, I'm all for it. That is something that is safe. It's something that's doable. And like I mentioned, and I did it over the weekend. I put 2 8-pound dumbbells in a backpack and I went to this park near the house and I just walked. I was like, wow, this is awesome. But then I got bored, so I took it off and I started running, not with the dumbbells. But so anyway, I'm all for it. That kind of stuff. If you don't have a rucksack, if you don't have weighted plates, just put dumbbells or put a heavy book. Do you use a dictionary anymore? Do you have old? Just put that stuff in your bag and just go walk. Great question. Hmm. Correct. So this goes into some shoulder stuff. Uh, the Now, as a kid, this is what I will say. I was one of those kids, heavy backpack, but I was also one of those kids who was self-conscious, wanted to fit in and wanted to be cool in the 90s. So I took a heavy backpack and I only slung it over one shoulder. My right shoulder currently, bleep, is lower than the left, right? And so I'm always having to constantly kind of fix that. So that's number one. Number two, as kids, as we are developing, we don't have a lot of core strength. And so with a heavy backpack, we're going to end up in this forward position, right? And that's what you see. Or like when I see with some of the other kids, the straps aren't pulled enough. And so it's hanging pretty low. And now it's just pulling me back like this. And now it's just compressing discs down really low. Now, how does that compare with like a weighted vest versus a backpack? Like if you do a rucksack, the weighted vest has even distribution in the front and the back, or it should. If you just put plates on one side, then we're asking for trouble. If you do a rucksack, now that one's going to be a little bit more challenging. Like even when I did it over the weekend, my shoulders were not used to that. Like it was just hurting. Um, Also part of the reason why I took it off and decided to go running instead. Uh, you just have to, one, know yourself, and two, prep yourself for that as well. A weighted vest is going to be really uncomfortable though when you walk. I will say that, because those straps will just cut right into this area. But if you build enough calluses, you won't feel anything after a while. So anyway, but all that to say, I would choose a weighted vest over doing a weighted backpack. Um, and also prep your feet. That was something I was not expecting. My feet were just kind of sore on Monday, I was not expecting that. Other fad questions. It doesn't have to relate to just group fitness or tech. Are we going into a sugar-induced coma? Or is our insulin spiking and crashing simultaneously? Oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate. You know what? Actually, I'm okay with is actually Celsius. Celsius is probably the only. I'm sorry. I got one in my pocket. Just yeah. The only reason why I'm okay. Oh, go ahead. No, 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 no. Don't apologize. Oh, hello.
Is he saying as long as the weight is evenly distributed on both?
Yeah, from a physical therapy, biomechanical standpoint, yes. If you happen to have a vest that is unequally loaded, that's okay. Just know that you're gonna, like, if it's only loaded in the back, if the weight is only in the back, then you're just gonna have to know that your core strength and your shoulder position is gonna have to be like spot on, because what will end up happening is that your shoulders are going to have to pull forward to meet the demand of the weight pulling back, and then your core is going to want to have to crunch forward to help with that, which is now going to put you in spinal flexion, which isn't terrible.
Yeah.
But you're just putting additional load on the spine that it wasn't meant to carry. If it's in the front, then you also have to make sure that the core is going to be has enough endurance as you walk, so that way it doesn't, you're not having to compensate by leaning back in order to carry it. So that's why I would prefer it to be equally loaded.
So you're just thinking a balanced load approach.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep, you're welcome. Good question. Go for all means.
Yeah. So, with our time, ROTC and stuff, we obviously had a rock, and that's how we kind of learn. So, two things to Kevin's point. If you got something that's not balanced, put a load back on or something like that, if it's in the front, like I have a front plate. So like I don't have a back plate because that's what I use for like airsoft and stuff.
Sick.
But if I get a push bag, then I'll put it in the back. Just put like a weight in it or whatever. The other thing is, if you decide to do this, don't just start running.
Yeah.
Just like start walking first and stuff like that. What also suggests before you start like running and getting to that level is maybe doing like a short like little hike where you have some inclines and stuff like that. Get used to that, get the cardio going. Because I'm telling you right now, it's going to use muscles that you thought that you needed.
Agreed.
Then you can start doing some running. Then you can just start doing some hiking and stuff like that. That's going to help with the gait as well.
Hey, we're hiring for a trainer position. So if you want to come down later, I'll run your interview. Kind of not kidding, really. But yeah, anyway, we'll talk later. Seriously, not kidding. No, that's a great, yeah, absolutely. Spot on. Great, yeah, great point and good tip with the balancing act with the backpack, because that's, yeah, you just don't want to go for a prolonged period with uneven. Nobody likes uneven marinade. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anything else? Anything else? I'm sorry? Okay, good. I know this wasn't nearly as interactive as my other ones, because the other ones I know I give stuff to you.
Yeah.
Because I want to go drink my, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Celsius, and I'm using this loosely, has the healthiest ingredients and also doesn't have like that same kind of crazy spike that C4, Monster, Red Bull, what's the other one I'm missing? But any of those other those big ones that most of us will normally grab, Celsius seems to have a better, like a sugar ratio, caffeine ratio, and doesn't, and for me at least, and I don't know how it affects everybody else, but like it sustains my energy. Like I don't spike and then crash. Like I feel okay, and then later toward the day, I'm just like, oh man, I feel like I'm gonna have to get one later today. I'll just, CP2, if you guys have never gone, CP2 has down to their cafe, just so you don't have to cross the street. The tower, the other office tower. In the basement, there's a cafe down there. Yeah, and it's a lot nicer, and then you guys are gonna wonder, why is our building not building? Like, no, seriously, you guys are gonna go over there. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I will give you a personal tour. Like I will take my stuff and go work there. So anyway, all that to say is that take the Celsius. Don't, we have other stuff. But obviously, if you guys have the opportunity, in order to avoid the Celsius, please, for the love of God, just go to sleep. if you go to sleep, your energy will be longer through the day, and you don't have to worry about that energy crashes later at night. Okay. Lastly, let me just wrap up with with. I don't really have a specific story with Kevin and I at Orange Theory, but I do remember the first time I saw Kevin downstairs and wondering, like, I had just started working at the gym down here, and he was going to Josie's class when Josie was still doing both classes. And I just thought, like, oh, well, that's cool. Now my worlds are kind of colliding. But I wanted to say this about Orange Theory and classes that are very, very similar to Orange Theory. So Orange Theory does combine both tech and the fitness side to it. And what they'll want to do, what Orange Theory will want to do, is that they will want to push you into the quote unquote orange zone. How many of you guys have been to Orange Theory? Any guys? Okay, there you go. Anyway, so if you ever hear about these zones, like they base it off of heart rate deal, right? And so they want you in this orange zone, and they want you to do this like 2 to 3 times a week, which is kind of like overtraining. And that's kind of one of the things that we kind of have to watch out for, because they will use like pseudoscientific ways of being able to tell you, like, yes, it is based on science. And yes, if you get your heart rate, you will burn calories for 24 hours, which is technically true. Like if you hit that orange zone, you will burn calories, but it isn't about the calorie burn. It's about where are you pulling your calories from, because you will only go into carb burning stuff if you hit that orange zone. And I think it's their green zone. They called it green days if you wanted active recovery and you just wanted to do something light on the treadmill or on the rowers. And really ideally for clients that I've had in the past that did Orange Theory as well as trained with me, I just told them just stay on the treadmill and just walk on the treadmill at an incline, because you'll see way better results than some of the other people. Not only that, but the constant pounding on those treadmills, is just it's just hard on the joints. And not only that, if I don't have eyes on you, like I know people are running incorrectly. Knees are dipping in, your arms are crossing over, you're running like this, and then it sends me into a fit. And then even the strength training days at Orange Theory, it's interesting because I've noticed that they've now had to start shifting to more because they started picking up on the fact that they're like, oh, people are now noticing that strength training is actually getting more results than actually just coming to Orange Theory and running. And so they're actually implementing way more strength days. But the problem is that their dumbbell rack only goes to like 50 pounds, right? And as you guys become stronger, you can do more than 50 pounds. So they're about to hit a really big limit. Anyway, that was my Orange Theory story. So anything else? Comments, questions, things about Celsius? No. As always, thank you so much for allowing me to come and present to you. If you have any more questions, I am located downstairs. If you're not part of the workout crew that comes to work out, then you need to be part of that workout crew. They'll buy you dinner. So I don't know if I'm actually legally allowed to say that, but that's what they'll. So was that hey, there you go. Hopefully I'll see you guys tonight. If not, have a great rest of the day. Safe 4th of July. And as always, stay hydrated. Coach Steve out.
Is there a recommended time to stay in zone 2?